What he said, what she said, what they said.
What's going on, everybody? This is another episode of Jenna Talks. I'm Pat,
It's your girl Cash Money.
and in this episode, I'm just gonna get to it. What do you think about? I mentioned in the last episode a little bit about AI and stuff like that, but let's talk about Golden Dome. Now, we'll relate it to ourselves, and then we'll take it to everybody else, right?
Okay,
So,
so first explain what is Golden Dome. For the people who
so,
may not be familiar, don't know, tell the people what Golden Dome is or what
so
it's
two things.
about.
So two things. One of the things that happened when we were kids in the 80s, Ronald Reagan tried to, and excuse me, Ronald Reagan and President Reagan at the point in time, and then President George H.W. Bush tried to institute something called Star Wars. It was a space based missile defense system, right?
Okay.
That's exactly what Golden Dome is supposed to be. Golden Dome is supposed to be a space based air defense system, missile defense system. Now, being in the military, we understand all implications. We understand there are possibilities of attack. But now, being out of the military, transitioning, knowing what we do know, I can say for myself, there's no need for Golden Dome, right? There's who who who's gonna attack us, and if they do attack us, right? We been had systems to shoot missiles down. That's why we sent air defense systems to Ukraine. That's why we've sent missile air defense systems to Israel. And I say Israel like that because Israel is using them in a way that they're actually
Well,
getting.
what if they're not? Well, what if they're not going to use missiles? What if we go nuclear? What if we?
So the only way that we know of right now that the we go nuclear is by nuclear missile. They could try again. Also, I saw a map, and
Because
this is
because
fun.
we
This
know
is
everybody got nukes. Now we're not gonna act like nukes ain't around air. We got
yeah.
nuclear power plants for a reason, right?
Nukes are
Right.
everywhere. We they say that
The
nukes are only
Simpsons,
in
the
what?
Simpsons wasn't lying about a lot of stuff. We got power plants for a reason, right?
Everywhere.
And
It,
there were Homer don't work at the power plant in the Simpsons.
so yeah. So Golden Dome is supposed to defend us from all of those, right? But again, we've already had all these systems in place. We never had a use for Golden Dome. Star Wars, the Reagan Bush era thing, they couldn't bring it into fruition because we didn't need it. It was a huge budget issue then. Now, check this out. Check this out. Now, when Trump announced it, he said it was only going to cost 125 billion, right?
B
Right?
B with a
Huh?
B with
Yeah,
a
with a
B
B. With a B.
billion.
Now
Okay.
that's already a crazy number for every the 99.9%, right? That's already a crazy number for
Did
the
it
rest of
cost that much to make plane? It ain't cost that much
Wait,
for you to get no
no,
plane.
no, no, I haven't gotten to the good part yet. Wait, you heard the 128 billion, right? The Congressional Budget Office, which is nonpartisan, right? It's independent and it truly has stayed independent over the years since it's been instituted. The Congressional Budget Office estimated that it would take $831 billion. But he just promised at West Point's graduation that we're doing it.
That's a
There's
seven.
a
That's a $6 billion, $100
$600 billion difference.
difference. Who doing that math? That's a plus. That's more than a plus or minus
Right.
ten
Now,
percent ratio.
right. Now you tell
That's a
me.
huge margin of error.
That's one thing. That's the one thing. Okay, so we talking about Golden Dome, but I'm gonna talk about this budget, this big beautiful bill real quick, and then we'll get back on Golden Dome, right? The big beautiful bill budget. He keeps throwing these numbers. This is why I talk. We said in past episodes we talk about talk out the side of his neck, right? And this administration, it's not just Trump, it's the administration. So the big beautiful bill budget, right? He keeps talking about how we're saying we got to say this. Doge is saving 180 something $billion. Your pet project is going to cost 8 times that. Your budget itself adds $380 billion to the debt now, to the deficit now. But what you're doing is, and you're trying to ram that through Congress so that we won't see it. In order to get all these things, you keep talking about the Golden Dome and the big beautiful bill. They're costing way more than what you're saving.
They will cost, if implemented, they will cost more
Correct.
than what the Congressional Budget Committee has said.
Also, and this is the Congressional Budget Committee. This is the committee that shows each government budget for each department
So
or institution.
explain to the people who may not understand the process. When they come up with the budget, that means they've solicited contractors, companies
Mhm.
for proposals. I'm not a
Right,
financial guru, whatever, but in order to have a budget, you have an idea this is going to cost that much. And then you
right.
solicit
And then you solicit, right?
for
Yeah,
bids, and companies come in and say, well, I can give it to you for 500 billion.
right.
I can
So
give it to you
so
for 8.
so
It
in
might
that
cost us 10
so
billion.
so so when the Congressional Budget Committee and the Congressional Budget Office, they actually run the budget. They do that. So for Golden Dome, so Golden Dome needs the guns. Golden Dome needs the trucks to bring the guns to where they're going to install the gun. Then they need, or it's supposed to be a
Satellite
space based, right? So yeah. So then you have to get thing
into
each
space.
part of the satellite. Then you got to build the rocket to take it into space. Then you got to get the rocket fuel, and then you got to pay the company to pump the rocket to bring the rocket fuel, and then you got to pay the other company to drive the rocket to the pad. But then you got to pay NASA. You got to pay the NASA employees and everybody else to build the rocket
Astronaut.
pad to launch it. Then you got to pay all the government officials that all this gets factored into the budget, right? All these different costs get factored into what it takes to build.
Implementation,
Right. And they do
parts,
that.
labor, just like when you take your car in for an oil change, you gotta, if you look at your bill, you gotta parts cost, the filter, whatever, the oil,
Yeah.
and then you got a labor cost for them to drain the oil, put the new oil in, and all that. You got a parts and
Right.
labor costs. The total may be $30
And we're
or
gonna yeah,
$100.
we're gonna run with that, right? So then if you think about it, it got the where you get your oil changed, they have to pay to dispose of the oil. So that's part of your
That's a
cost,
fee.
right?
That's a fee.
Right. Then they had to pay if they part of a franchise, they had to pay their franchise fee from whoever doing it, mobile,
Head
whoever, whatever company.
boys,
Yeah, whoever doing it.
15-minute lube,
Yeah,
whatever your oil place.
yeah, they got to if it's a franchise, which a lot of them are, they got to pay the franchise fee. Then they got to pay the employees. So you paying for parts and labor, but you part of that is split up into everybody that has to get paid, right? That's what the Congressional Budget Office does. They take an idea, they take a project, and they go, we got to split this up, and it's gonna cost because it's still costing them, right? It's still costing us to get the Congressional Budget
The
Office
taxpayers,
analysts to
right?
analyze it, right? Right.
To do the
So it's all
study,
a cost
to come
to do the
to come
study, right?
together,
Right.
to
So
get the proposal and
to get the
break down of
proposal,
what
you still
they're
gotta pay. Right. And this is the part about I get it. I get it. He's trying to downsize the government, but you can't downsize the government when you have stuff like that to do, because what you're doing is you're killing people. You're killing the
it's
work.
counterproductive. It's counterproductive.
It's counterproductive, right? Going back, you got all that. You say it's going to cost 128 billion. Who gave you that number? Because the Congressional Budget Office is supposed to, if you give them something, they're supposed to run it, find out, and then give you the amount. Who gave you this
They
128 billion?
budget is two times the amount that he said it
The
was.
budget is 8 times the amount, or 7 times. It's 128 billion, is what he said. It'll cost 831. You do the math. That's
Yeah,
7 times more. That's 8 times more.
almost. Yeah,
Right, almost. So who gave him this 128? It's only gonna cost 128
low
billion.
jack,
We are,
low
but
jack.
and 128 billion is already crazy.
What's the deficit right now?
Oh, this is where I'm leading this, right? Right. So the deficit is already outstanding, amazing, right? It's like what, 400 trillion
With a T?
with a T. And I didn't say 4 trillion, I said 400 trillion,
100.
right? Check this out. We got 400 trillion in debt.
Your project gonna add another
8
if
trillion, another trillion. Just go ahead and say trillion, another trillion to that. Plus your budget proposal is for 10 years. So it's going to add another 300 some trillion over 10 years.
we almost what's after a
Here's the,
trillion? We
here's
almost
the
there.
thing. Here's the thing. Then this we tie this back to current events and everything, right? Let's tie this back to immigration. It's known that immigrants pay taxes. The illegal immigrants that he talks about, it's known that they pay taxes, right?
Mm,
What's
the
crazy is
majority of them, unless they, because guess what? It's some Americans that don't pay
they don't
taxes
pay
because
taxes.
they work under
Right.
the table.
Right. So yeah, right. So here's the thing that I'm gonna point to is we hear these numbers, we hear these large numbers, right? These huge numbers. But again, how do we always end up being able to pay for it?
We raise taxes.
We raise
Come
taxes.
on, Jerry Maguire, show me the money. We raise taxes
We raise taxes.
over time. But yet, there's enough rich people, if you just let them pay taxes, we wouldn't be having to raise taxes on a lot of stuff. And what we know, being in the military, working for the government,
Mm-hmm.
there is a lot of red tape and processes are long. And
Mm-hmm.
talking about a budget also incorporates a timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll even make it simple. Building a house. You got a price
Mm-hmm.
for a house to build. If you go build a house, right? They're selling the house, you go to build it. We're selling the house 400K.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna take us 120 days from start completion till closing to full build and you close or whatever, maybe 180 for
Yeah.
45 days closing, however you're closing, lender inspections, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
just from ground to build, on average, 120 days. Typically, that's if there are no delays, no rain, no
Yeah.
adverse weather
Yeah.
conditions,
Yeah.
no shortage of supplies, no delays in inspections during the process of the build, or contractors sick, all the extenuating circumstances.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Right.
get your house built in 120 days.
Right.
Any one of those things that I mentioned is out of line, that pushes your 120 days.
Yeah.
Anytime you push your time frame, you have to do what? You have to pay for the additional days. So in
Yeah.
terms of a budget, a lot of processes, things balloon
Mm-hmm.
because you get off budget, you get off plan, you don't account for the setbacks in your process. You
And this,
when have we ever had 120 days rain free, snow free anywhere in the country, hurricane free, where you could just it's just perfect.
and that's the question. When have we ever had all of that to happen. When have we ever had a perfect window for a launch of a
They
rocket?
pushed them things back 2, 3 times.
Two, three times, four times a year. It ain't. It won't just be people. People. We get reports, right? And it's oh they're supposed to launch, and then it doesn't launch, but we don't hear about it. And people it leaves people's minds, right?
And I say all that to say you were talking about the budget and you were talking about immigration and immigrants paying taxes.
Yeah.
The immigration system is broken, partially because part of the process takes forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like you come in the country illegally, they stop you, you get a thing, you get a court date to go in front of a judge.
And
That
the
may
court
be
date.
2 or 3 years from now.
So you still in the country, and you still under you scared. You still in the country. See, and I get it. I get. Okay, they
The
get
red
caught.
tape that they talk about in the government is what makes things, that was the point I was ultimately getting at, makes things costly.
Makes things costly, and it also makes things work because sometimes and I'll give that example about immigration, right? They come into the country, they get a court date, right? But in that time from their court date, if it's say 90 days, right? Because usually it's kind of 90 days, 30, it's 60 to 90 days, right? Maybe even 120. In that time frame, a person can have time to file for asylum. A person can't have time to get into a program to naturalize or to get a green card, right? So that's called due process. That's why people get up in arms because you're saying, hey, you're going they come to the country, you don't know why. Yeah, they come in illegally, but because of who we are as the United States, we're supposed to give everyone that crosses in our border due process. Now,
But say, did everybody come into the United States illegally though? That's another, let me stop. That's another topic for
it's,
another day. That's another topic. I'm just
but
saying,
to get back on track,
if we
to,
being honest, everybody came here illegally.
to get back on track, right? To get back on track though, I made the point about the taxes because I'm talking about these absorbent amounts, right? And the amount of money it's going to cost to institute or bring to fruition this golden dome, right? Secondly, what is his ends? What is his mean to an end, right? What I see is
I don't think
we
that man had one other than a
well,
flat
no, no. What I
thick
see
stick.
is he rushes Golden Dome, right? What I see is he rushes Golden Dome because he said it's going to be in by the time he's out of office, right? Which is what 3.5 years now, right?
So we gonna have some shit that don't work, right? And somebody else gonna have to pay some more money to fix.
Or bring it down. And if he brings it down, if the next president says, you know what, we're going to abandon it, we're going to scrap it. Now you got assets out in space. It's been scrapped, which cost
Ain't
billion,
that
eight
fraud,
hundred.
waste, and abuse?
And that's the thing is, that's one of the
Ain't
things
that
that
way
I've
he's
been yelling.
supposed to be rid the government of? Fraud, waste, and abuse.
It's all a pony show. What is it, dog and pony show? That's all
I
it is.
know. I'm just saying the quiet part out loud.
Yeah.
I'm just
I
saying.
mean, it is what it is. At this point, it's all it's a money grab. To be honest, it's a money grab, and it's
Cause
hard for me.
he gonna personally be tied to it one way or another. Somebody
I
attached to
mean,
him is gonna benefit from it.
you got to think about this. You got to think about how this looks and the truth. We, the president, Biden, and even in his first administration, Trump, the Obama administrations before that, back to Clinton, Bush, his two, he tried to a little bit, but we tried to get corporations out of politics. We tried to not have a pay for play system set up in politics, right?
Or we try to have some oversight. some regulation of it.
Right.
We
And
put
now
caps on what you can donate and
what you
contribute
can right.
as a corporation, or
This this cat said bump that.
blatantly at this point. So we're pivoting.
So yeah. So we're pivoting to my top donor gets a job. He's not an official government employee. He's working as a special employee.
Well,
But
not anymore. He left quietly. He came in real loud, chest
yeah,
up and everything, but he left
yeah,
real quietly.
yeah.
He it wasn't as
And
loud as when
the
he
stuff
came in.
and the stuff that he messed up, he came in, he messed stuff up,
But you
and
know
now
what? The sad part is, and for people that don't know, pay to play is illegal in the United States.
it's supposed to be.
Supposed to be. But there was a decision last year that happened. Was it last year? Yeah, last year. From them people in the robes that sit up there in DC. Y'all know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about?
I know who you're
The,
talking
the
about.
Supreme Court justices who said the president has immunity for anything they do
Well, what
in,
they say, no, what
in
they
their
say
capacity
is, yeah,
as a president, the official duties of the
right,
office of the president.
right.
So right now, you have the office of the president acting in their official capacity,
Doing illegal crap.
doing a payola scheme
Yeah, doing a
because
payola scheme.
you pardoning people who are donating to your digital coin campaign and all of this other and various other attributes. You
How is
pardoning people because they align with you, not because they've been harmed.
right, right. But I digress. Let's get back to Golden Dome, right?
I'm
Golden
just
Dome.
saying, like, but all of that factors into Golden Dome is gonna be some sneaky, underhanded shit. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah,
It's gonna
that
be if he got it for 100, what you say, 128 billion.
28 billion. Yeah,
It was some side deals, backdoor, shady handshake under the table. Cause that's a big difference. That's a
it's
big that's a big difference.
a huge difference. But it's
So
just
the
like,
only way he got that for that cheap is some kickback somewhere. I see he got the 5 finger discount hookup, as we say, something. There's no way. Or it's gonna be, as you and I know, as military stuff, it's gonna be janky
yeah,
and it's gonna cost more money to decommission or to add to make it operable. And then
mm-hmm,
when we're done in the long run, if it ever gets operational,
mm-hmm.
they're gonna look back and say, "Oh, it cost the 900 building that they said it was gonna
Or,
cost."
or check this out. Or check this out. Check this out. This is just a way out there conspiracy theory, right? Just follow me. Or the aliens gonna show up, and instead of being able to shoot the aliens, right, they're gonna be facing down at the earth. The missiles are facing down at the earth instead of out at the aliens, and we ain't gonna be able to do nothing anyway. So it ain't gonna matter. It ain't gonna matter. But Golden Dome, that's what Golden Dome is. It's supposed to be a defense system. Oh, and I was leading to say this too. What's gonna happen when everybody has a Golden Dome?
Shit, what did I say? We on the brink of World War III already.
What's gonna
We
happen
just
when
then
what's
the,
gonna
then the,
happen
then
when
Earth look then Earth with an F will no longer cease to
Earth?
exist. Earth
Listen,
with an F.
what what will happen if we have Golden Dome? No one else has Golden Dome, and then in our what we're doing now, isolationist state decides, you know what? And Trump just gets mad one night before he goes to bed, and he wakes up and says, "I want to. I'm. You know what? I'm just tired of him. I want a real war, and I'm just going to bomb. Since we got Golden Dome, I'm just gonna bomb China. I'm just gonna shoot missiles over at China because we got Golden Dome and they can't. It'll be World War III.
It's gonna be dangerous for sure.
Because what's wild, and I say that to say what's wild is I saw a map of Antarctica, right? Don't you know that it's split up into territories? Antarctica. It's not just free, right? It's not just Antarctica. There's a U.S. territory. There's a Chinese territory. There's a territory for the UK in there. There's a sliver in there for France, right? They governments have divided up Antarctica. Why? For what?
Power, strategic planning. You've been in the military, you know why.
It's ridiculous though,
For
because
when
they
somebody
say
wanna for when
here's the
somebody
thing.
wanna put on their big draws and take over. That's why.
Here's the thing is they say it's uninhabitable. So what do you even need to divide it up for?
Uninhabitable by people. Yes. Machines, as you said before,
Oh, here you go, here you go, here you go. Machine
machines don't.
AI, here you go. We've been on this AI thing. Here you go. Here you
I'm
go.
just saying, we already know China. Okay, China was shooting missiles and launching missiles. We already know they got missiles
Mhm.
set for the U.S. So I mean, they've been testing long range missiles and everything. Or y'all forget that? Did you forget that a few years back
This is
we
the
was
other thing.
intercepting missiles?
This is what's crazy about it all, right? What's crazy about it all is internationally, everyone relies on everyone else.
That's what
Like
NATO intended for it to happen. Checks and balances.
but it is the isolation Americans and the America First Americans. They're talking about get out of globalization, right? There is no way that we can pull out of globalization. We can't pull out of the global economy because it's a global economy. It's the global. We. It's like I was telling someone. I don't. I'm not a professional, but I read a lot and I study a lot. I look at a lot. Did you know that? And I'm giving this example so you understand on a global level about countries, but I'm going to talk about corporations. Did you know that Coca-Cola owns Pepsi stock and Pepsi owns Coca-Cola stock? Did you know that Nike buys Reebok stock and Reebok has Nike stock?
I'm
Did you,
not surprised.
huh?
I'm not
Did you
surprised.
know that General Mills has Post stock and Post has General Mills stock?
I'm not surprised. Okay, so you worked as a stalker before, right?
Yeah,
I'm not surprised. Well, do you know when we in the store and people say, I'm only buying Quaker Oats
yeah,
because whatever. Well, Quaker Oats in 9 times out of 10, the store brand are made in the same factory, owned
yeah.
by the same company.
And this is what I'm getting at is it's a
Diversify their
so
portfolio if
so
you're in the
so
stock.
So that's right. So those companies diversify their portfolio into other companies. Walmart owns Target, Target owns some Walmart, right? So the global economy, the dollar, and this is the thing that's scary, is because the dollar is dropping, the value of the dollar dropped. The dollar was the international currency that ran every other currency. Every other thing is measured up to the US dollar. Right. So when you become isolationist and you say, you know what, we ain't dealing with none of y'all. We're gonna put tariffs, we're gonna start a trade war.
It
Everyone else
loses
comes,
its value.
everyone else comes together and says, you know what? If
We don't
everyone
need the dollar.
we don't need the dollar. We don't value our money off the dollar. We're going to value our money off the Chinese yen or
Euros.
the euro or the euro, and we stuck with dollars that mean nothing.
Hence why they're no longer making pennies because it costs more to make pennies.
Ultimately, we own the United States owns Chinese stock. It owns this is
It
what I'm
has a
saying.
stake in
Right.
everything. Yeah,
we have a stake in the UK. We got a stake in all the countries split up in Africa that again the colonizers split Africa up into these different countries. Anyway, we own stock in them. We own stock in Canada. We own stock, and I'm just saying stock to so for the layperson, right? Or for our viewers. We own stock in Mexico. We own stock in Argentina. And they own stock in us. So
we have a stake
we can't just pull out
without the detriment of us. You're shooting yourself in the foot. Very
and then
definitely.
we're gonna and so then we're gonna instrument a golden dome to defend ourselves against who? Who? The last few terrorist attacks have come from within. The last few terrorist attacks
Were U.S.
happened
trained?
happened they were in the U.S. And that's why that's why the administration, and we say he because Trump is the face of the administration. He's trying to limit international students from coming. He's trying to do away with immigration, illegal and legal, because ring the bell. He's trying to do away with legal immigration. He's trying to do away with immigration altogether, unless you are a certain skin tone. But
White
we're
male.
not going. We no, we're not going to say that. I'm just going to say skin tone.
I said it. White male. Shit. Hey, Stevie Wonder can see what the hell he talking about. White male.
So,
Say it.
so what ends up happening is you have a world that views you one way, and all of us that want to say, you know what, you can have it. I'll leave. Now the other countries are saying, no, y'all can't even come in.
Make America great again.
So then what you start to do is, okay, I'm gonna start oppressing the people that are here. They don't look like again, this is how it this is if you don't learn from your history, you're bound to repeat it, right? So then, okay, it's so bad here now. This is a scenario for the future. It's so bad here now that my dollars don't really mean nothing. They only mean something internally to us, right? So if you ain't got no dollars, now you ain't got nothing.
Well, it ain't even dollars. It's all the other stuff because there's people here now that they dollars really ain't even dollars. They're pennies to the dollar.
Yeah,
You know, the underprivileged poor class,
yeah.
um, the people who living below poverty, minimum wage, um, all of that stuff. So I mean, it's par for the course. It's I again, even a blind person can see what the end game is here, or what the supposed end game is here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because doing those things don't impact the wealthy the way it would impact the underserved privilege. And I say
So,
that to say, because if you're not aware, so the CDC just dropped the recommendation, the mandate for COVID vaccine boosters in healthy kids and pregnant women. That has health ramifications as far as coverage through insurance and out of pocket costs.
mhm,
Well, think about it. Most we wouldn't have Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, if everybody could afford health care to begin with.
right,
We wouldn't have needed it. So
right.
think about that to your, to everything you're saying, and to the point that the decisions of this administration that are being implemented, talking out both sides of your neck, when you really look down to it, they're going to affect the underprivileged. The wealthy will still be fine because the
Mhm,
wealthy is not on SNAP benefits. The wealthy are not on Obamacare. The
right.
wealthy are not on Medicaid. The wealthy are not using Medicare.
But those are the people that right that he's talking about and that vote for policy, right? Are the people who have a lot of money. But those are the people that also don't pay their taxes and keep that money. And so the poor, the middle class,
It's the burden of the underprivileged.
the
We
taxes
support
are
the
the burden of
burden of the underprivileged.
well, taxes are the burden of the underprivileged because
Right.
the people that have money they don't pay taxes. We pay taxes, and and the thing that gets played on is they say they're part of us, and they're not. And what they do is they project that onto the other party. So they talk about the elites, and they say, and when they talk about the elites, they like only the Democrats are elites, right? And in their following, their supporters get behind that. It's like, yeah, them Democrats, they're elites. They're only Democrats. They're far left. They're only Democrats. Not looking at their internal, not looking, just look at how they carry themselves. The politicians, especially the Republican politicians, look at how they carry themselves. They carry themselves like everyone is beneath me, individually, and when they get together, everyone is
They are
beneath.
real smug. They are
They're
real
very smug.
smug.
The way, even in the way they dress, even in the way they just walk into a room, it's just smug. But they
Very
tell you,
arrogant.
but they tell you,
They're the common person. They're the working people. And most of them ain't worked a day in their life.
or they did work and they were a doctor, a lawyer, or a politician. They've been a politician all their life. That's the thing that's the thing that they tried to use against Joe Biden when he was running. Joe Biden went from college to I want to be a politician and was a politician all his life. That was his job. He would have to, and this is why politicians get scared is they because they got to run again, right? So when they get scared because if I get primaried, if I got to run again, there's a possibility I won't have a job. Now the good thing about being a politician is if you serve more than one term, if you serve two terms in Congress,
You
people
get a
kind of respect
pension.
you because huh?
And you get a pension. But
Yeah, you get a pension, and then people respect you and give you a job, usually give you a job and want to work with you because you were a congressman, a senator, whatever, right? But some of them, once they lose, they, there are a lot of people that disappear
mm-hmm.
because that was their only job.
Or they go do other stuff. They write books, speaking
Yeah,
engagements,
and they get paid off
political
speaking.
analysts,
That
or they become surrogates. There's so much stuff they could do. Um, they run for lower
low, yeah, they
public
go back and
offices.
forth for low, and then and they remain politicians. But that's all they do, and they try to tell us that they're just like us, and they're not. They're not working class. They're not working in a factory or getting up and going to work every day or being a government employee that possibly now is going to lose their job or has lost their job and is fighting to get it back. Right? They're not like us, and they try to tell us they are, but they're not. And then and what has to happen is they need to be held accountable because everything falls onto the middle class and the lower class or the poor, right? Which effectively it's only the poor. It's the rich and the poor, really, effectively, because it costs us more in the long run every day to
As
live.
the middle class, right?
Right. It costs us more every day to live than it does now. And now he's gonna add, it's gonna go over. It ain't no way it's gonna cost 128 billion. It might only cost 300 billion,
I know
but it's
that's
gonna
what he
go.
said, but it's gonna be more than that.
It's gonna go.
Just like the spending bill, they're trying to rush through Congress. What's in it? I'll ask the people, what's in it? Go read it. Cause you can say it don't include these stuff. Somewhere there's gonna be some entitlement cuts to stuff. They're talking about removing SNAP benefits for kids over 6 years old.
Oh yeah. So once you they made it to 7, but it was 18, right? So
But
they
I'm
removed.
like, but do a kid still not need to eat once they? So you 6 years old, go out there get a job. You don't need to eat.
But that's what we said though. Remember we said it's they trying to go back to child labor, and it was in one of the episodes we talked about they had struck down the child labor law, and I'm telling you, there's stuff going on behind closed doors. If it gets, we talked about the dystopia, dystopianism and how we got to take this 90 days at 30 days at a time now, but it was 90. Now we got to take it 30 days at a time because we on the brink of World War III. We on the brink of the economy collapsing and it being because here's the thing about the economy collapsing, right? The stock market crashed, and what happened? The Great Depression, it crashed in one day. And it took how many years to recover from that wipeout? It happened December what 8th or December 28th, something like that. Oh no, October 28th, 1929, right?
Well, the
One
stock
day.
market is volatile because of the tariff situation. Oh,
But the tariff situation is not solid.
oh, I know.
How would here's the thing about it. Now, a lot of people elected him. A lot of black, it was 85% of black men, which again, I still say we do need to get that apology player because we did our job. Y'all thought we wasn't. Y'all thought we wasn't. Don't look away. Y'all thought we wasn't, but we still did our job. Now, here's what I'm gonna say. The other little
No,
14 and
we
a half,
know it was delusional people who don't vote their
the 14,
interest.
the 14 and a
Like, how
half
do you
percent
vote against yourself?
the 14.5% of black men that voted for Trump, most of them said they voted for him because he stood 10 toes down about what he's talking about. But this dude hasn't stood 10 toes down about these tariffs.
Oh, did you see Russia is making fun of him? Talking about we ain't gonna worry about it. He'll change his mind in the morning. They trolling. They trolling. Hey man, whoever them Russians spoke, they trolling. Talking about we ain't gonna worry about it. He'll change his mind. Because he said Putin, he called Putin crazy yesterday.
Yeah, he said he's
He
going
called
absolutely
Putin
crazy.
acting crazy. And they
Yeah,
said,
that
we
was
ain't gonna
emo.
worry
No,
about
they
it.
said
He'll
it was
change his
emotional response. Yeah, don't worry about it. He'll change. Oh, okay.
because he'll say something, then he'll tweet something in the middle of the night or in the morning, and it'll be different than what he
Yeah,
said.
and he'll say the next morning he'll say
Talking out both sides,
praise to
as we
God.
said, talking out both sides of his neck.
Yeah, because he said
Basically, reading between the terms, Russia said they ain't scared of you motherfuckers. That's what they said.
right, right. They don't take you
They not
serious.
punks. They not
Right.
backing down. Russia said, I ain't scared of you. Like Bernie Mac used to say, I ain't scared of you, motherfuckers.
And notice he made his announcement about Golden Dome, and then Putin going crazy, right? He actually acknowledged Putin is crazy, right? Just they're
It's
small,
set up. It's
the
the
way.
setup for the setup
Listen,
for the.
for the setup, right? And I said, listen.
What was the saying? The world is a stage, and all of us are as actresses and actors.
The 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 way the way the universe communicates is it's very fine. It's very minute, right? It's very you gotta pay
Transparent.
attention. You gotta pay attention. Yeah. So he says this about he announces Golden Dawn right, and then Putin goes crazy. So he got to know something. That's why I say who's going to attack us. He got to know something. He tried. They setting up something. That's all I'm saying. That's a conspiracy theory for you.
Hey, but there's truth rooted in conspiracy theories. Just like a lie star is truth in a lie somewhere. You know,
Well, yeah,
a lie is an adaptation of the truth,
yeah,
alter reality of the truth. Ain't that
yeah,
what a lie is? I mean, if you think about it,
yeah,
it's an altered, delusional version of the truth.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They've been so. We'll see. We'll see. I'm sitting here again in relative safety and comfort, right? And we sit here in relative safety and comfort. But what's the real? When will that end?
I'm about
Because
to say, well, we creeping up on June, so you know, what, June is the 6th month, right?
Yeah.
So we 6 months in, and I remember you saying 6 months in, we're gonna see. Because right now, these first 5 months, everything is still Biden problems. These is Biden's problems.
Right. Yeah. 6 months in, we gonna see. We gonna see.
So I question, what do you think about them now attacking him about his health decline?
I think they're idiots, and I think we
Real quick, yeah. I know I pivoted real quick before we
no, no,
go.
no, no. This is a good pivot. I think it's wrong to attack someone because here's the thing, and I'll say this, and then I'll go ahead and get off of the subject. Remember, I'm gonna take you back, and then I'm gonna finish. Remember when he got COVID? When he was
Mm-hmm.
out, he got COVID, and you remember there were people that were like, "I had that's what it get," right? And they were coming out saying it on online, on the news, whatever. I had
Because
that's what.
he downplayed the severity of it.
Yeah, and then but that side was like, hey, have some dignity, have some respect. It's a sick person. We're all going through this. I turn around and I flip that back. Have some dignity, have
Absolutely.
some respect. Joe Biden, the this is why I know something is going on with Trump anyway, is because, and I'll prove this by what I'm gonna say. When you are the president, you age as many years as you age by that, right? And I'm talking about the first time. So Obama, he was in for 8 years, but in his first term, he aged 8 years. In his second term, he aged another eight, right? Altogether, it was what, 16 or 24. If you look at Obama, Obama went from tall, slender, black man standing strong, no gray hair, none, to gray hair, and he'd been out of the spotlight. But and
You know
right,
why that was? He couldn't smoke them cigarettes.
right, but here he could nah. But you look at Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton is a feeble old man right now. The only one that's doing any that might be doing any good is W, and W, I don't think he doing that good either.
I'll say this. Um, I think people were and are delusional if you thought the 79-year-old
What's going
president
on? Yeah,
was going. We talked about this
yeah.
early on last season. When you first talk about working out, and you was like, my workout game in my 30s and 40s is different than my
Mm-hmm.
workout game in my 18, my recovery period. I
Mm-hmm.
may still be fit, but my recovery period is still different. So I
Mm-hmm.
say all that to say he declined, to your point, he declined in those first 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So in the 4 years that he was president, how did you not expect him to not be? Look at your grandparents, you know what I'm saying, or your great aunts or somebody or whatever. Let's be for real. If they make it to 75 and above, unless they were this fitness guru, they're going to have some
Every day,
cognitive decline. Look
and
at
every day
Trump.
I
I
know
don't
it.
even looking at Trump. You ain't the young whippersnapper that you was in your first presidency, sir. You got some cognitive decline in your third grade speech as well. Like, let's not
Which is what is bad because he had cognitive decline in his first presidency.
let's not act like. My thing is I don't care that, okay, they lied to the people because he was in office. They didn't want to invoke the 25th Amendment because they didn't want. That's what it really boiled down to. That's why they didn't want him to run the second time, because they know something was going to come out, and they were either going to have to invoke the 25th presidency, the
The
25th Amendment, which
yeah.
then meant the vice president was gonna have to run the country, which they felt like she was already running the country, and they didn't like that shit. That's what it comes down to. But the reality is, Trump has just as much cognitive decline as Biden, because when you get up there, what is it? Biden's what, 80,
He's 82 now, 83.
82?
Yeah,
He's 82.
yeah.
And Trump is what?
He's 78, 79 now.
Let's see. Joe Biden is 82.
Yeah, Trump is 3 years younger, so he should be 79 or 78, 3 or 4 years younger.
Trump is 78. He'll be 79.
Yeah.
There ain't that much damn difference between y'all, if we being honest.
Dude, almost when you say, see, here's my number. My number is 80, right? Because
I'm just saying, in terms of years,
yeah, yeah,
5 year
yeah,
difference, that ain't the 4 year difference. If it's under 5 years,
yeah,
sir,
yeah,
you ain't that much damn different than in terms from a, and I'm not a practicing medical professional, but in terms of brain cognitive, heart function, everything, when you look at age, because when they talk about stuff, they talk about stuff in kids in this age group, kids in
yeah,
this age group, teenager, adults
yeah,
18 to 21,
yeah.
21 to 29, 30 to 30, 10-year gap.
All different, yes,
Sir, if
yeah,
you less than 10 years in that gap, y'all have the same
yeah,
functions, cognitive ability, reflexes. Sir, shut
yeah.
the fuck up.
Unless you're doing like I said, which is you got to work on like reversing that or slowing it down, right? Unless you do it, and we know that he's not. I mean, we know that he's not. Yeah, okay. It's like this. I live with two people that are 75 and older, right? One of them he's moving around every day, right, and doing stuff. He works like I told you, my father works for the city, so he's doing stuff, and I can still see a slip. I can still notice a slip, right? But his mind is still going. Now, my mother, I worry about every day, right? About just physically and how her mind is working because she she doesn't have to and she doesn't want to do anything, right? So
Hmm.
when I say, "Hey, ma, let's go for a walk," I don't want to go for a walk, right? I can walk around in the house. I can go outside. Da, da, da. Okay, cool. I'm not gonna push it, but I see that, so it's a worry every day. I see that aging, right? So for me, I expected it. I had already looked at that, right? And that's the thing about when they were running for president. One of my things is the president should be younger, right? The president should be younger because I feel like the president should be our age.
I think you need to definitely be under 65,
Right,
70 to 65, under 70.
right. I feel anywhere from 40 to about 70, maybe, right? Um, because again, if he was our age, he would be in the know. He would see. He would kind of even if he was far right, because we got a lot of far right people in our. He could still see, you know, our angle about it. He's still close enough to the young people. He's still close enough to the old people, right? Or he or she. They're old enough to be an old person, young enough to be, you know, hip or still in the know with young people. That's what a president needs to be because the president has to govern
Everybody
everyone.
across
We
generations,
continue to elect older people. I
and
think
expect
Obama
them
was one of the
to
youngest,
relate, right?
and it's harder to relate because they're still stuck.
Or to not have any cognitive decline. They're the president. So okay, and they don't get old, they don't age. They're part of the aging population.
These two, the last two that we've had, have been some of the oldest presidents that we've ever elected.
And if you look at their population, people in their age range, it's a lot of people not here.
A lot of people not here, and a lot of people are on the what? On the decline. It's just the reality of aging,
Aging.
right?
If you blessed to age and get to that age, as we talked
Yeah.
about
It-
before. So no, that's all. I'm like, let that man live out of all. He out of office. Y'all got what y'all wanted.
Just left him
Let
alone,
that
right?
man leave him.
Man alone. Yeah,
Let him
yeah,
die in peace. Let him live out the rest of his years. And not that I'm wishing that he dies, but you get what I'm saying. Let the
yeah.
man go on off into the
Let
sun.
him
Leave
be.
him alone.
Let
I
him be.
doubt he will be doing many public speaking engagements soon. I don't think we needed a book about his cognitive decline. We saw it in real time. And I think you were delusional if you were expecting there not to be any cognitive decline. Because just because you have a good physical 1 year, annual physical 1 year, don't mean you're gonna have a good annual physical the next year.
Especially as you age.
Things
And that's
happen.
and that's the thing that's crazy is the, when it's people our age that are talking about Joe Biden, right? It's people our age and slightly older that have some wisdom, have some years on them, and they still. You telling me you didn't expect Joe Biden to have any decline? You didn't expect every day him waking up, they're not getting a
Before the
decline
debate,
because
like seriously,
here's here's the thing. We have issues every day. I could wake up feeling good and then take a step out the bed and crunch. I got something pop,
twisted
something
ankle, right?
twisted.
Something
Right.
hurt.
You
It's
you can
memes
sneeze.
all over social media about once you age over life waking up over 35. It's like this. All kind of jokes. So what the hell do you imagine life waking up at 80 is like?
Right.
If you snap
So
crackling and popping at 35
so they need to leave that man alone. They don't have
and
people
and
that are
and hope that they get to age gracefully to
right.
see that age.
Right. Right. But
Like
again, but
even
again,
Trump, sir, you like I said, you ain't that far off. Let's pray you make it to 82.
this dude getting ready to be 79 years old on his, which is his birthday is what, June something?
Yeah,
Because we need to know, like, because the
I don't give a
military
damn.
parade,
Look,
the
I
parade,
don't give a damn
yo, this
personally.
military parade is so they didn't want to have it in DC. One, because all that weight, the streets aren't made for that.
Of course not.
So the streets aren't
That's
made
more
for
taxpayer money.
to be
Wherever they have it at, is more taxpayer money
right.
because it's a waste for
Streets aren't made
security.
for tanks to be driven on.
It's a waste. It's a waste. But again, I told you, it's the little dick syndrome. I got to flex my muscles. You know
You
what it
think
is.
so?
Absolutely. He's got a Napoleon complex for sure. He's got a Napoleon complex. But anyway,
You got little
thank
hands.
we done got
Little
off
hands on it.
topic. We was
Yeah, we
talking
did.
about we done went from budgeting, Golden
Yeah.
Dome, but all of that ties in to say, stay tuned, pay attention,
Please, please.
know what
Because
affects you personally and those in your immediate circle. Um,
Mhm.
Single issue voting has its consequences, whether it directly or indirectly, it has its consequences. Those unintended consequences that we talked about, they're there.
Yeah.
I didn't say it the last episode, but you're gonna get your make sure you got a library card if you ain't already got a
Yeah.
library card.
Yeah. I didn't mention it either. Make
Go
sure you got.
read. And for those of y'all that ain't been paying attention, we have eclipsed 20 episodes. We in season 2. So we're celebrating that.
Yeah. We celebrating season 2. We eclipsed 20 episodes. I'm happy. I'm so happy that we got to
We're
20 episodes.
blessed to make it to 20 episodes.
Thank you for rocking with us. Thank you for getting us to this point. And listening to our rants and our raves and our conversations, because this is the conversations that we have all the time anyway. So, thank you
Offline.
guys
I
for
mean, this is a little bit more cleaner. We got less cursing, but yeah, sometimes
yeah, and
yeah.
less personal touches exactly, but it is how our conversations go. We want to continue to be organic with you guys. We love you. Thanks for support. library card, and
Until
Big
next
Brother,
time.
Big Brother's watching. Until next time.